Hello, my name is Matthew, and I'm going to do a book tag video. Last night I was tagged by Steve Donahue. The tag is the Skyrim Book Tag, and from what I can understand, Skyrim is a video game. I don't entirely understand the questions, but I'll read them and do my best to answer them. Question number 1. The Dragonborn can absorb souls, breathe fire, soothe wild beasts, and so much more. What character do you think would be capable of anything? Well, I just reread Genesis, so I'll say God. Number 2. Lydia is sworn to carry your burdens. Who is the most annoying side character? And I think it's unfair. It'd be unfair to say Eeyore, although he really bothers me. He's friends with Winnie the Pooh. He's friends with Tigger and the Owl and Roo. You just get the impression that no matter what, this guy's going to be unhappy. Can't find his tail. I'm not going to say Eeyore. But Tom Sawyer. Tom Sawyer in Huckleberry Finn. So, in his own novel, Tom Sawyer, I just think is just so charming, fun, has like sort of that harmless, kind of wild exuberance that you can remember and think about as sort of a childhood imp. But in Huckleberry Finn, he really is a dangerous lunatic, like a megalomaniac, narcissistic, unnecessarily for whatever delusions are going through his head, is putting people in real danger. So I was really bothered. It's been a while since I've read it, but I've been bothered by how Tom was portrayed in Huckleberry Finn. Question number 3. Did someone steal your sweet roll? What is delectable food from a book you'd like to eat? So in Candide, Candide goes to El Dorado and they eat hummingbirds. I'm just kidding. The other kind of joke I thought of was the dinner of Trimalchio, where they have the fully cooked calf and they cut it open, and sausages burst out. It'd be a sight to see, but it's not a novel. But the book "Consider the Oyster" by M.F.K. Fisher. It's a wisp of a thing describing all sorts of different kinds of oysters, and she uses the most unctuous, beautiful, descriptive language. It talks about all sorts of different oyster recipes, and I like oysters, and for me they are a luxury. I haven't had an oyster in maybe 4 or 5 years. I haven't had a single oyster. And I read that, I think I read it last year, and it just makes my mouth water. Question number 4. Took an arrow to the knee. What character do you think would be most likely to get randomly injured? Does Don Quixote count? Question number 5. Daedra versus Daedra. What is the most interesting force of good or evil or otherworldly source of power that you found in a book? And this addresses major blind spots that I have in my reading. I don't read science fiction or fantasy. Um, the other thing that I thought about is just blind spots in my memory, because I'm sure that I've read things in those genres, and I've struggled to come up with some sort of supernatural force. But I'm going to say the beating heart in a telltale heart. It's the story about a man who butchers someone, hides the dismembered parts underneath the floorboards. There's a knock at the door, and it's two police officers interrogating the man, the murderer. And he is consumed with the sound of the beating heart of a dead man underneath his floorboards. And there's something about that imagery that is allegorical to either pure evil or possibly the goodness that could be found in some supernatural justice. Very strange and powerful. Question number 6. Tamriel is full of double-crossers. Who is your favorite deceitful or suspicious character? I'm going to say Arabella from Jude the Obscure, a novel by Thomas Hardy. And a quick synopsis is that Jude is sort of an innocent, pure, good young man who has dreams of leaving his small working town to go to a version of Oxford. So he wants to leave town and educate himself and better himself. And there's a girl in town that takes a liking to Jude, and the other girls say to her, "Don't bother with him. He's leaving." And she says, "Well, I'll keep him here." And so they're seeing each other, and Arabella says to Jude, "I'm pregnant." And this is a good man. And he recognizes that this is something that just affects his vision of the future. But he has to take responsibility for his own actions. And in a lot of ways doesn't complain, just does the right thing and stays with her. Months go by. They get married. No pregnancy. And he brings it up and he says, "What happened?" She goes, it was a false alarm." And that there's other conniving, manipulative things that happen between them. Later on, when he's left and now he's married to his cousin, but she shows up again, goes, "Turns out I actually did get pregnant, and I need you to take my little boy." I can't remember the specifics. His name was Father Time. The most bizarre little child. And a massacre ensues. I won't get into it, but well, just depressing. Question number 7. The Lusty Argonian Maid is the hottest book ever written. What is your favorite romance in a book? You know, when I first read that, I thought it said, "What was your favorite romance novel?" I thought maybe does Madame Bovary count? But in any event, Daphnis and Chloe by Longus. There's a handful of ancient Greek novels that are these like romance novels. They all have very similar plot devices. A young couple get together and immediately are thrown into love, and then have a whole series of catastrophes, and then there's a rejoining and a union and an ending. I love them. I had dreams about them. Question number 8. Stealth Archer is the obvious and most practical character build. What type of character do you think is the most useful, and give an example? And I'm going to say Gilliette, the main, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but the main character in Toilers of the Sea by Victor Hugo. And he is a hero. He's a heroic type. And he has all of the great qualities. He's rational, thoughtful, educated, and then handsomely built. He's strong. He's capable. Throughout the book, there's just a series of problems thrown at him that he has to figure out. There's a ship that is wrecked between these two rocks, and he has to unwreck it. Let's see. Number 9. There's more to the world than just humans. Elves, Khajatit, Argonians, and more. What is your favorite fantasy or sci-fi race? And again, I'm very limited, but my first thought and what I'm, I guess, most fond of, is the weird being in Italo Calvino's Cosmocosmics. He has an unpronounceable name. I'll spell it. QFWFQ. That's what he calls himself. And he's an eternal being. And he tells you little stories about what it was like before the universe, living in a void, and what it was like to live out in space when the stars were being formed, what it was like to see an atom for the first time. You have no idea how small or large he is. He doesn't seem to age. It's really interesting. He's kind of a formless, eternal being, and somehow has a very good sense of humor. Question number 5. Glitches. Dragons freaking out midair. Giants sending you sky high. What is a surprisingly funny or unexpected thing you found in a book? I never find anything funny in a book. It's either something that gives me very tender thoughts or sad thoughts. I recently found a train ticket to New York from 9 years ago, and I was going up to visit a friend of mine that I care about very deeply, and I haven't spoken to that person in 9 years. I haven't seen them. We didn't have a falling out. We just grew apart. It's sad to think about. I still have the little book as my memory and my train ticket that, if I hadn't stashed it in that book, would have been discarded, along with some very fond memories that otherwise wouldn't have been brought back to my attention. That's the end of the tag. And I'm never very good about tagging other people. I'll say Brian from Book Wanting, Brian from Bookish, Rambling Raconteur, Tilly's Shelf, and Roz from, how do you say it? Scally Daddling. That's not how you say it. And really anybody, if anyone wants to do it. I don't really understand what the questions are, but in any event. Leave a comment if you would like, and it's kind of long. Leave a comment if you would like, and thank you for watching.